Thank you for sharing space with us.
Yes, thank you very much. But we've got a great journey ahead of us. So let me walk you through what to expect for the next 90 minutes. It seems long, it seems long, but we'll do our best to make it engaging and interactive. So first, we will kick things off, as you see the agenda on my screen, with an icebreaker we call the magical question. And then from there, we'll dive into the big question: why is intercultural and global competence so important today? And we'll look at how these skills help us communicate, collaborate, and create more peaceful interactions in an interconnected world. Then we'll introduce you to something we're really proud of, the World Council. We'll talk about our mission, our global community, and why we think connection is at the heart of everything we do. After that, we'll explore the real value of global networking and cross-cultural relationships, not just in theory, but in real life as well. We'll also share a powerful approach we use to build intercultural understanding, the story circles methodology. Dawn will take over after that, and hopefully she will walk you through this methodology. It will be a great overview. And it's all about learning through shared experiences and through listening to each other, which I think we're not that good at. I mean, I say we because I see many people are still working on their active listening skills. And finally, we'll wrap up things with a short reflection, a chance for you to take a breath, gather your thoughts, and think about what you're taking away from today's session. So hopefully you'll feel inspired and energized, and hopefully we'll have a meaningful time together. So let's get started. Okay, so before we dive into deeper conversations today, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Didem Ekici. I wear different hats, as many of you do. I identify myself as an educator, as a researcher, author, and peacebuilder. I serve in the executive team of the World Council, and I'm very, very excited to be here today with my colleagues, Dawn, who will take over the microphone in a second, and also Mizuho, who is joining us virtually because of a scheduling conflict. So I'll pass it over to Dawn for the introductions and ice-breaking activity.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Dawn, pronouns she, her, and you can just call me Dawn, although my full name is up there. If you feel that I'm in trouble, feel free to use my full name as my parents did when they thought perhaps I made a mistake or an error. It's a pleasure to share space with you, and I've been working in virtual exchange and COIL, collaborative online international learning, for many years now. It's near and dear to my heart, and I love programs that operate in that space. And that's how I came to learn more about story circles, as I am a practitioner that uses story circles in the virtual space. So thank you for coming along on this ride. So let's go to the magical question. So if anyone is familiar with Priya Parker, she is pretty well known. She wrote a book, and it's about gatherings. And she has operated as a facilitator for her entire career. And as a facilitator, she would try to come up with ways to get people to engage, but make the beginning kind of low stakes, right? But also have a nice question. She calls them magical questions. So here's my magical question for you today. What aspects of your adult communication style would surprise your childhood friends? If they saw you today, they would be like, "What? Didem, that's not how you were when we were kids." So, you can either type your answer in the chat, or you can use your raise hand function, or if you just put your hand up, I will be able to see it. Didem, as everyone is thinking, is there something that your childhood friends would, if they saw you today, would be like, Is that Didem we went to high school with? Oh my gosh.
Okay. So actually, I was just thinking, one thing I do differently, I used to talk a lot when I was young. So now I listen more. And I'm just like, I feel so sorry for my friends because when I reflect on my childhood, or not like when I was high school, so I was talking a lot and a lot, and just now I can empathize on how hard for them to listen to me so long. Now I try to keep quiet a little bit more, and yeah. But what about you, Don?
One of the things that I was notorious for as a child was constantly asking why. I mean, it was like I was like not judging people, but like asking them like to defend their reasoning or something.
Mm,
Why? Why? And then sometimes they would become exhausted, and especially my parents, my family would say, because I said so, right? They're like, stop asking why. um I think it was part of just like my high level curiosity. So my friends would say that I'm still very curious, but I know now that it's not kind to just be like, why? Like, because it seems so judgmental. But yeah, my curiosity is off the charts. That has never changed. Who else would like to share? Not just us, but who else has something that they would like to talk about, that your family or your childhood friends might think a little bit differently about you? I don't think it's a surprise to anybody in my family or friends that I talk a lot and that I've given presentations on stages where there's like over 1,000 people in the audience, and I just act like it's completely normal, like there's two people in the audience. Yeah, that's very much Dawn. Frauke, did I see you on mic? Am I saying your name correctly? Please
Yes,
pronounce it for me.
it's Frauke, but it's quite good and it's hard for a lot of people to pronounce it right, so it's perfectly right with me. Um, I mean, I'm still communicate like I did in my childhood, but I also have additional some other styles, and I think sometimes I'm able to be on a point and not only, putting all the context in. This I did a lot. And the other thing is also if I really like to talk a lot, or I just do it, sometimes I'm able to be quiet and listen, but I'm also able to talking and listening at the same time. It's a bit weird. That's it.
Oh my goodness. See, these are the kind of friends I need. Those that like love to talk, because then like we're like for hours, and like 4 hours pass and we're like, what? How long have we been at this table? And the server is like, excuse me, ma'am, we need to get this table for someone else. And it's because I've just been there with all my talking friends. So Frauka, you are definitely, sounds like you would be a perfect match for myself and Didem. So, and may I ask what part of Germany you're tuning in from, or where you're from? Are
Mm,
you from
I'm
Germany?
I am from Germany and I'm now in Wiesbaden. It's quite close to Frankfurt,
Oh, okay.
so it's quite in the middle.
Well, I have been to, is that the Baden-Württemberg state still? Frankfurt? Is it?
No,
I
it's
don't,
Hesse.
okay.
Baden-Württemberg is more in the south.
Okay. That's my family is that's where they live, well, in Stuttgart, so I have been there
Hmm.
so much. So your accent sounds like home to me, so thank you. um all right, Andy, I know you so well. Would you be interested in sharing something about yourself? I always find you so wonderfully interesting whenever we chat.
Spot on. I'll give you some money later for saying that. I did put something in the chat box, but I was, yeah, because it was I was struggling to think something that's like really different from that my childhood friends would see, because I think I'm a bit like you, Dawn. Like I've probably been quite same, like quite talkative. I've always told stories and stuff. But I think so. What I put in the chat box was more about like my English teachers. I think they'd be very surprised that I yeah, I'm now kind of trying to make a living out of creative writing because I just did not pay attention. I say just the way that English literature was taught at my school was just so boring, and I just did not resonate with me at all. So I think my English teachers would be very, very surprised that I've now kind of like gone down this route. So that's kind of a half answer to your question.
I I love that you know, thank you for sharing that, because sometimes our educational experiences when we're young, you know, they can, I always think like they could make or break you sometimes, right? Like if it wasn't a good experience for you, you might doubt those skills or like what you want to do. And I love that even though your English teachers would be surprised, you know, maybe just the style that they taught in wasn't that appealing to you. But I love that you still pursued your dream, and all of our examples are great when we're thinking about how intercultural communication has come into our life and then how we embraced it as adults, because sometimes our childhood experiences might not have been that diverse. At least mine were somewhat diverse, but not as much as I think I would have appreciated. Especially now that I'm an adult, I seek out those opportunities. Well, thank you everyone for sharing. And Andy, we may have had the same teacher in school. I think mine thought I had a monotone, which I don't know. I was like, what? And then sent me to like special like training for my voice. Maybe that's why I'm always like acting so surprised all the time. Ah, all right. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Didem, so you can hear her lovely voice, and she's going to talk a little bit more about the main components.
Thank you, Dawn. And before I go to that stuff, I would like to just mention that, Andy, my teachers would be really surprised. Like, you know, I'm totally different. I was not a good student when I was a student. So now I'm a professor, and just like, I mean, I would love to see how their face would turn into, what? You're a professor now? Just like, you know, I really, yeah. So you're not alone on that path. But okay, let's start by breaking down what intercultural and global competence really means. It's not only about, as we know, knowing a few facts about other countries, just about speaking the other language, or traveling around the world. It is about understanding ourselves, our own perspectives, and of course our values and assumptions, and most importantly biases, because we are all biased, right? And that awareness helps us approach other cultures with openness, respect, and understand other ways of thinking and living, which is not happening in today's world. We don't understand, or we don't try to understand other ways of thinking or living, right? And that's why we have so much conflict going on. For example, when you're cool with not always having the right answer, and or when you're open to different perspectives, that's when you really start becoming interculturally smart, right? And all the skills you see on my slide, they're basically the building blocks of many intercultural competence frameworks. So experts say that you don't pick these up overnight, right? As you can imagine, these things are not happening overnight. They take time to develop. And that's why it's so important to actually get out there, talk to people from different backgrounds, and step outside of your comfort zone. I mentioned comfort zones because, let's be honest, for many people, talking or working with people who are different can feel uncomfortable or even a little scary sometimes, right? So that's why some people will rather stick with what's familiar. But of course, they are missing out on learning and growing, unfortunately, by staying their own bubble. But if you go to next slide, Dawn, I'll also tell you like why it's important today. So why does this matter? Because these skills don't just help us in our professional lives to become better in our workplace, right? They help us be better people. Think about the world we're in now. It's just full of conflict and misunderstanding, right? And the situation we are in now makes intercultural competence crucial at this point, because research shows that successful intercultural communication fosters peace, trust, and respect. So it's what helps us collaborate and thrive together. And I am really passionate about this. And in my other work, I'm also trying to shed light in like how intercultural competence intersects with peace building, because really this is a wonderful outcome. This is what we need in today's world. And but it's not always visible when you look at the intercultural competence framework at first. And it's so much needed in today's world, right? So can you imagine how much more we could achieve if we all just understood each other a little bit better, right? And next slide. Yes, practicing skills through global networking. And finally, all the things I just said, like all the skills you see in many frameworks, it's not just theory, right? You cannot just read about intercultural competence and become interculturally competent. You get better at these skills through experience. And global networking gives you that chance. Whether you're working on a project with people from other countries or doing a virtual exchange, like Don is really expert on that, or joining the breakout sessions we're about to have. I'm not sure if we're going to have it since we have a small group, but at least you're here and you're connecting with people from different parts of the world. So that is how through every interaction, you sharpen your intercultural intelligence, right? And these experiences shape us into more empathetic, maybe adaptable, and maybe globally minded individuals. So you are basically learning by doing. That's what I'm trying to say, not reading all these skills. And next slide is, yes, World Council. That brings us to something that truly embodies the idea of global connection. The World Council on Intercultural and Global Competence. Everything we've just talked about, building global networks, creating spaces to collaborate, and practicing intercultural skills, is exactly what the World Council stands for. So the World Council offers a unique opportunity to connect with people from every corner of the globe. So we have a global community, and hopefully you're part of it. If not, hopefully you will be part of it. It is a global community that connects people from all around the world, from different parts of the world, right? And it's a virtual space where we share diverse ideas, cultures, skills, and where we actively engage and collaborate, because so many activities, so many virtual events are going on, and these are great opportunities for us to get together and share more. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we are 3 presenters today, but Mizuho is not here today because of the scheduling conflict, but she will talk about more about the World Council's mission and vision in just a bit. But for now, I just want to say connection is really at the heart of what we do, and we welcome everyone, no matter where they're from. And we really see that everyone has something valuable to bring to the table. So hopefully by the end of the session, you'll feel excited and inspired to be part of our global network too. And I'm going to pass it over to Mizuho now, because she will talk in detail about the mission and activities and all the projects we're working on as the World Council community. Dawn, can you help me play the video?
Hello everyone, my name is Mizuho Tatebayashi. I am a doctoral student at North Carolina State University, the United States. I am also involved in the World Council as a fellow, and I'm delighted to be with you today as a part of this session. Thank you so much for having me. And for this part, I'm going to introduce the overall picture of the World Council, our mission, vision, the growing community behind it, and some of the key initiatives that we offer through our platforms. Later on, you will also learn about some resources we offer, mostly free of charge, so please stay tuned. The World Council on Intercultural and Global Competence is a global organization that is dedicated to connecting researchers and practitioners across different kinds of borders to advance the knowledge, research, and practice of intercultural competence. The foundational belief is that fostering intercultural understanding across differences is essential for building more peaceful societies. So we connect people across cultures and disciplines to foster rich collaboration, cross-fertilization of ideas. Linking research to reflection and real-world practice is important for us, and our members actively engage with local and global communities beyond academia. The World Council community is a collaborative network of intercultural experts, practitioners, policymakers, educators, students, and anyone who is passionate about intercultural and global competence from around the world. What unites us is a shared commitment to deepening intercultural understanding, and our community is continuing to grow. It includes members from every continent except Antarctica. A lot of the World Council's work happens through working groups. There are over 20 currently, including ones in English, in French, and Spanish. So these working groups are at the heart of the World Council community because these groups bring together people focused on specific themes, such as assessment, youth engagement, educator training, and community-based practice, etc., etc., as you can see on this slide. They typically meet monthly and have amazing speakers and rich discussions, and they are coordinated by colleagues who volunteer their time. If any of these speaks to you, you are very, very welcome to join a working group, or if you Google ICC Global Working Groups, and the website will come up for you on the top. So please look into one that aligns with your passion or expertise, and then we will see you there. One exciting outcome of our global collaboration is this book, Current Perspectives on Intercultural and Global Competence. I had the honor of being a co-editor with Dr. Darla Diedov, our founding president. This is a first open access book publication of the World Council. This represents the collective power of the working groups and the community members connecting and learning from each other. This book provides a diverse array of perspectives from different disciplines, contexts, and cultures. For example, you can find regional perspectives offering a rich and unique understanding of intercultural competence, and some emerging perspectives that may offer transformation for your research or practice. And also it covers practical topics in diverse disciplines such as healthcare, virtual exchanges, intercultural skills education. And I'd like to share this with you. The publication was made possible thanks to Star Scholars Network, one of the World Council's founding affiliates. So this book is free to download, so please use the QR code or find the link provided in the chat. Then this will lead you to our web page where you can submit your email address and receive the entire book for free. We also have an official biannual publication, Intercultural Connector, edited by Dr. Curtis Chu. This offers a variety of genres of articles, such as practitioner pieces, book reviews, opinion pieces, peer reviews, research articles, and more. This may be a great space for you to be creative, reflective, and have intercultural dialogue and innovative ideas. The latest issue includes a special feature by best-selling intercultural author Craig Stotty and 4 peer-reviewed articles. All issues are available online. This is also free to access, so please take advantage of the QR code or the link in the chat again. The World Council also hosts many other opportunities and events for people to connect and have a space to reflect, find insights for daily practice. This includes our annual Global Forum. This is our signature event, and Global Symposium. This is upcoming in October or November this year. So we have also virtual meetups, speaker series, and facilitator training sessions for the UNESCO Story Circles. You will hear and learn more about the UNESCO Story Circles methodology later on in this session. So please stay if you are curious or already know the methodology and would like to learn more. These events are majorly designed to be inclusive and interactive, and you will find time to both input and output, like this session. There will be many opportunities for you to make connections and find collaborative relationships. So this is a great space to be engaged. Okay, thank you for listening. And if any of this resonates with you, you are very welcomed to join the World Council community. Membership is free and open to all. You will gain access to the events, working groups, lots of opportunities to get involved in projects. We are currently using Workplace as our online platform to receive or share information. And so please scan the QR code or visit the chat to find the application so that you can be connected to the Workplace. And the Workplace, the online platform, will be switched to another one, Linker. Yeah, you can hear about the transition more if you are curious in this session today. So thank you very much for listening. Enjoy.
Thank you, Mizuho. I wish you were here, but I know that you couldn't make it. Still, you're here with us. We are recording you prepared, and thank you for all the great information you provided. And yes, we are moving from Workplace to the Linker platform very soon, but don't worry if you're not a member yet. Please go ahead and use the form in the chat I just shared, and please become a member. And don't worry about the transition part because we're gonna take care of it as the World Council community. And as Mizuho also mentioned, there are so many wonderful working group coordinators we work with, and Dawn is one of them. And all these working groups are actually looking into the intersection of intercultural competence in one of the fields, maybe healthcare, maybe virtual exchange, maybe schools. And that's why we really appreciate all their work because they are the heart of the World Council. And you're welcome to become a part of one group or 2 groups or any groups, and no strings attached. When you fill out the form and you become a member, we're not asking any fees. We're not asking anything for you to pay. And we're not asking any commitment either. If you just want to stay at the corner, just observe what's going on and listen to others, that's fine. If you want to take a more active role, that's okay too. So we'll leave it up to you, but please become a member and share this community with us. And you can see the QR code as well on the screen. So either you can use the link in the chat or the QR code. And after you fill out the form, then you will be part of the World Council community. And next, we were planning to have a breakout room challenge. But since we have a small group here, maybe we can just, we can turn on your microphones and we can share all together in this room. Now, what we're planning to do is to get your insights, get your opinion on the importance of global networking, why it's a game changer, and some guiding questions you see on the screen. How does making connections across borders help you communicate better with people from different cultures? And how can it help us all build a more peaceful, understanding world? And I like the bonus thought as well. If you would like to just, go ahead and answer this question as well, that would be wonderful. But what is something global networking offers that just doesn't happen in as much in local circles? And any cool learning moments or eye-opening experiences. I really, really want to hear if you have any eye-opening experiences when you communicate with people from different backgrounds. So feel free to use the chat or feel free to unmute yourself to join the discussion. But we really would like to hear from you at this point.
Right. Falco, did you want to start? So just to let you both know, so I did a session this morning, and Falco was the only participant. So I have your sympathy for it being such a small group, and it's quite nice for me now to be on the other side of things. But yeah, so Falco and I got to know each other earlier today, which was great. Yeah, and the reason I wanted to join this session is that it's exactly about this question you're now asking, is just because I mean, so I'm trying to work out. I'm just trying to remind myself how you've worded the question, but like you in the mission, in the mission there, you've said it's such a game changer, and I think game changer can be such an overused term, but I think for this, it really, really is a complete game changer. I mean, okay. Um, I've been active in intercultural dialogue since 2001 or 2002, sorry, and only really got fully active in that. And I thought I was an expert, and all the rest of it, and travelled around and did a lot in the UK. But sorry, excuse all the background noise. And But it was only really when I started volunteering for Soliya in 2019 that I kind of took it onto the online space, and I have to say it just blows my mind, and every time, and so sorry. Now I've given all that preamble, and I'll try and actually answer the actual question as to why. I mean, obviously, I met Dawn last year through the Experiment Digital at World Council, and I just remember a lot of the students there were from Egypt and Tunisia, and I thought that I knew Egypt because I've been there 2 or 3 times, and I know Egyptians in the UK, but just speaking to 25 high school students from all over Egypt was just mind blowing. Like the detail, the kind of granular detail that they were getting about like power outages, and the issues that the power outages were happening because of like the debt in their country, and that their country is having to sell their natural gas to Europe, and so they don't have the natural gas to generate their own electricity, and then just how disappointed these high school students were in their education system and career opportunities. But despite all of that, the fact that how smart, intelligent, and passionate they all were about social issues about trying to make their communities better and trying to make the world better. And like I say, I've been doing this since like 2002, and actually the lady who got me into this was Egyptian herself. But despite that, I remember putting a LinkedIn post out on like my first few days with the Experiment Digital last year, and just saying it is as if I'm entering into cultural dialogue for the first time, because I honestly, like, I just, all these, I thought that I'd lost all my biases and prejudices and everything, and yet, yeah, there was this young woman from Aswan in Egypt, you know, and she was just coming out with all this like science and technology stuff that I had no idea about, and I was like, I would not have put a 16-year-old girl in Aswan with that potential and with being so articulate, even in her own language, let alone in English. So anyway, and then I could say all the same again for Tunisia, the people I met in Tunisia that year, like hearing about the water shortage crisis in Tunisia, which I knew nothing about. And I don't know, just so sorry, that's such a kind of cascade of information, but there's just something that this kind of international dialogue, sorry, not dialogue, networking does, that it does turn these people from all around the world into your neighbors, because I actually spend more time with people now from Afghanistan and Gaza than I do with people who live on my own street. Like that, by no means an exaggeration at all. And so actually I have more insight into what's going on in their lives than I do with my actual physical neighbors here. Which is actually, now that's the first time I've actually explained it like that, and that's actually just crazy to think that. But yeah, so what I think, so the why part of it, you know, is because it allows us to feel what is being felt in their place, in their home countries, and then my final thought as to why this is so important is because all across Western Europe and the US, but obviously I know the UK the best. The temperature here is rising with anti-migrant rhetoric and sentiment, and it is horrific. And what's really frightening is it's not just the people on the extremes, it's the people in the middle ground who are actually nice people, and they are buying into this this anti-immigrant, anti-refugee mindset. And so it's just when you have conversations with people who are coming from those countries, you know, it's a no-brainer as to why they want to come here, and yet we are treating them as if they are subhuman and sponges on our resources and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, sorry, I've ended up ranting far more than I intended to. So sorry, I'm just going to leave it there.
And thank you for sharing. And as I was listening to you, I really felt like there are so many parts in our intercultural communication journey we had like overlapping, because I'm like you. There are sometimes like, wow, you know, and it's the interesting thing is I've been in this intercultural competence field for years, and I feel like it's still going on. It's still going. There's no ending point. Every day I'm learning something new. Every day I'm just like sometimes surprising myself, and it amazes me because I don't think there will be an ending point for that. I think it will be just an ongoing process forever. But thank you for sharing. And Andy, I didn't know you had some work with Afghanistan. I also had virtual exchange with Afghanistan for more than 7 years, and yeah, it was really eye-opening, so many things. So thank you for sharing. Maybe offline we should
Yeah, no, absolutely, definitely. Dawn's spoken very highly of you, so I'd love to connect.
thank you.
You said you'd give me $20 for that, Dawn, if I said that. Yeah.
I refer to Didem as my mentor a lot of times. And
Yeah.
so, yes, I have said your name and high praise about you. So it's no secret. And I'd give Andy $20 for anything. I think he's just amazing human being. Is that 20 USD or
No,
pounds?
Australian.
Because I don't know which one is like the best right now.
Definitely Australian. Yeah, anyway, sorry.
And Frek, I think you also would like to say something.
Yeah, it's just wonder. I mean, being in an intercultural and a multicultural field, it's for me quite normal. I have been an exchange student. While high school, I was very active for some time. I don't know if you know ISAC, the International Student Organization, and I just remind me on when we had the storytelling, and I'm here in the local place. We start to have a very, very little network of people who are curious about artificial intelligence, but not only just doing it, but also exploring what this is. We do this in English because, there are like four people who founded this. They're all entrepreneurs, and the one is original from Indonesia, worked a lot of years in Singapore, two from the United States, and also one of the close people in the network. He's a IT developer from France, but it's not only IT people, it's just people who are interested in the field. And the funny thing is, especially the woman from Indonesia, she was also an ISAC, and there's a special kind of energy there. And the thing, it's not where we come from. So it's a part in or in factor in the interaction, but it's not the dominant factor. It's more really like a feeling like having a global level. And I mean, I love these kind of I say contacts or interactions. And for me, it feels like normal, and that's also part of being home. It might be not being home here in Germany, and it's not only always being at some other place. I mean, the other thing is I'm an anthropologist, so like going in deeper into other cultures, quite normal, or it was quite normal for me. I'm not anymore in academia for a long time, and for me, it's like. When you reach the global level. Oh, and the other thing is for me, I did research for some years about free software developers or open source developers, which I think might be really unique global culture, because it was not placed on some area or territory before. It started nearly, you could say, placed in the internet. And so and somehow fascinated by the whole thing. And I think it's really like when you go to the intercultural or global level, it's how you say, it's a thing of emergence. You might understand it also if it's German, because I think in English might be nearly the same. I don't know how to pronounce it in English.
Can you say it again, the word?
Emergence?
Like imagine?
No, I will write it in the chat. It's the idea, something goes beyond it. It's like when 1 + 1 is 3.
Oh, emergence. Like that would be,
yes. Thank you.
There we go.
And I think this is really about something about a global level, or like a world society thought. And the question why, for me, it's like, we share one word, so I think it's good to live by. I mean, we share this word, so it's better to get along. And it's not meaning for me like it has to be all the same, but the question is more, and we have, by the way, the political, or how what you said, like the temperature gets up. It's the same here in Germany, and we have a lot of discussion. It's like the fragmentation, but also like the polarization is like, but I think what we sometimes miss, it's more like getting to a different way of having a dialogue to hear both things. Because if you just have the blocks, it will just crash, and there's no constructive development. It will be even getting more and more resistant when you just, you just push or you pressure And so yeah, I don't know. For me, it's like the best way to get together, and it's fun. That's the other thing. Oh, and what I thought also, because I'm really thinking about these questions a lot, I just heard a talk about um, resi resilience. You know, how to get better with changes and so on, and the concept of anti-fragility. And
Oh,
I
yes.
think, and I can maybe send it later also to the chat, because there's one article, and it seems it's more like from the system theory, and like anti-fragility, it's like, you know, like for example, train your immune system when you get a vaccination. And I think intercultural competence, because it's not so much for me about different people, different region, different cultures, whatever. It's more like getting to use with differences and or the otherness. And it just reminded me from a talk, someone who worked a lot also with teams who start to introduce AI and AI agents as team members. And it was a very singular observation, but he said something like, okay, he observed that intercultural teams get along with artificial team members much better than more monocultural teams. And I think this is very fascinating. And
That is fascinating.
and my thesis is that intercultural contact or intercultural, if you see it as a process, supports anti-fragility. And I make a stop now. Otherwise, I would go on with talking.
And to interrupt, you know, that's great, because we had time and we had the chance to listen to you, and you brought up so many wonderful things. And one of the things also you mentioned, Frauke, about intercultural competence is not about like, you know, talking about basic things, but how you react to differences, how you adjust to differences, right? So that is very important to know, because the misconception of sometimes intercultural competence is, you know, knowing about other cultures, traveling a lot, blah, blah, but it's you, even in the same country, even in the US, even in California, even in San Francisco, even in the same like neighborhood, we can have some intercultural communication going on, because we are all different and we have to accept that, right? So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. That was really like, talk about game changers. Like, I'm so grateful for these moments and the value of small conversations, right? There's a lot of value in that. So it might just be the four of us, but I'm loving every moment. Well, we don't have to worry about debrief, so we can just move on from there. Well, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about story circles now. And one of the things the bonus question that Didem had put on the previous slide, you know, how does global networking like expand, you know, differently, our minds differently, you know, than our local circles? And when Andy said about that he interacts with more people online living in other countries with different culture than his own neighbors, I mean, that like resonated so deeply with me, because I feel very like liberated here in my city, because I don't really know anyone. So my husband always says things like, are you going to go to the store dressed like that? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know anyone here. You know, like it doesn't bother me, because don't ever feel like I'm going to run into anyone that I know, even though I've lived in this city for 5 years. Now he knows everyone because he works in community, you know, the local community. So sometimes I do pay attention to my clothes, because in case I'm with someone might be like, is that Tim's wife? And I'm dressed like that. So for his reputation, but for myself, that's not where my heart is. Like, I have so many friends that live in Iraq, I only can interact with them in this online world, and that's how we've developed our closeness, and that's my world. So that resonated with me. But recently, I have been thinking, what can I do in my community because of what you talked about, the temperature rising, and Didem talking about how we need to communicate more in order to get over some of these humps and really not live in such a polarized thing. And I thought story circles. I'm going to actually propose to my local library if they would allow me to do story circles. It's free, and it would bring people from my community together to talk about intercultural competency, but in a way that feels familiar. So let's get into it. So I'm going to share this video really quick. First, you know what? How many have heard of story circles? Andy and Frauke, have you heard of story circles? Have you attended a story circle? No. So are you a story circle practitioner, sort of familiar with the methodology?
Yes, I took part in the training at the Global Forum. That's been my only experience of it.
Okay, so some of what I'm saying could be new or familiar, but I'm definitely happy to answer any questions that you might have. So I'm going to stop sharing here for a second because I want to play this video, which, well, you know what? Let me see if it works. Sometimes it might work. Nope, it's not working. That's just how it goes. So I'm going to stop sharing. And that's okay. I have the video ready to go because I had anticipated this, right? This is how you know you're getting better in life, because you can anticipate what could happen. You're like, that could happen to me. All right. I'm going to share and start playing, and I apologize. You'll see that I really like lo-fi music. The ads will probably come through. Hopefully I hid most of them. Here we go.
Increasingly connected, we meet and interact in our daily life with different cultures. Think about a person who does a great job connecting with different people. Maybe this is a neighbour, a family member, a colleague, a famous person. What is it about that person that helps them connect so well with persons of different ages, genders and religions?
Chances are they have certain skills and attitudes that help them do so, such as open-mindedness, listening, empathy. They have intercultural competencies that make them better understand others, be more inclusive, and become change makers against stereotyping, hate speeches, racism, and discrimination. UNESCO developed story circles, an accessible methodology, structured yet adaptable, that helps participants practice key aspects of intercultural competencies.
We have always told stories as a way to connect. Circles, or talking circles, have a long tradition in many cultures as a way to engage with one another. Story circles help participants to connect deeply and meaningfully across differences, whether within a society or across borders, helping us find common humanity. They have been used all over the world in countless settings, such as in healthcare, with youth, in classrooms, in local communities, with refugees, and with indigenous populations.
It takes 4 to 6 people to hold a story circle. Participating is simple. Just be yourself and share from your own experience. You'll find out that every person has a story to share, and that we all have something to learn from others. This is what brings us together.
Ready to practice key skills in connecting with others? Want to help bridge divides? Join a story circle and experience our shared humanity in building a better world together.
Well, that is the link that I'm going to share with my local library to convince them that they should allow me to do this. So we'll see how that goes. You have to submit a proposal, but I'm really hoping that it works out. I'm going to go back to share the main slides here once I find them. Oh no, one moment. That silly YouTube just took over the slides. 1 second.
Do you want me to share the link, Dawn, or?
Oh, I have it. It's just a matter of opening, the windows, all that good, wonderful stuff. And I'm just getting to the slide where I left off. But thank you. You're so kind. You're always there to support me, Didem. I am not kidding when I say that. On many occasions, she has been there. Even when my intercultural skills, let's just say I had a moment and she called me in lovingly and reminded me that we're all practicing. We're never going to be perfect at these skills. And it meant the world to me to have someone care about me in that moment. So I'll be eternally grateful. All right, so I'm going to share again. Can everyone see my screen? I'm going to assume yes. Okay. So one of the aspects of story circles is, I just want to make sure I'm on the right slide. I think so. So there are a few requirements. First I should say there is a wonderful manual, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But a few things about story circles that are required in order to officially call it a story circle is that it definitely needs time. If it's a rushed situation, then the comfort level of people feeling vulnerable, it will change. The dynamic will change. So it definitely needs at minimum 120 minutes, 2 hours. And that is to ensure that time and space is there for people to reach that level of vulnerability with each other. We all know what it feels like for someone to rush us through something. And when you're trying to create connections, feeling rushed is the opposite of what could happen. All participants, they begin and end together. So, ideally, no one should be arriving late. Again, it's all about creating the safe space. Each circle, as you've heard in the video, has 3 to 5 minutes, 3 to 5 participants. There's 2 rounds of sharing. There's always a facilitator like myself or anyone else that wants to be a facilitator. There is some training, but also all that information is in the guide. And you can do something nice like a welcome or a closing. I've heard people say a poem to open. I've heard someone that knows how to play an instrument play like a song on the guitar, or something, anything that kind of opens it and closes it, and creates a real experience. So it's partially about creating an experience. The conditions for story circles, and I'm looking at the time very quickly there. Okay, there we are. The conditions for story circles, one of the things that is so important if you're thinking of doing story circles in your community is to talk about it as an experience. Because it's not necessarily a training. We're not training people how to do intercultural communication. And sometimes people might have a different mindset if they think they're being trained on something. We also don't call it like a workshop because that implies also the same mindset as training. And some people, they might feel that is like very educational and that might be a turnoff, but it's an experience that allows you to open up. And they've found that using the word experience really brings more people in to create that sharing and that safe space. The other part is, a common language used for communication. Story Circles has been offered in so many languages, and the manual itself can be downloaded in several languages. And I think that if Dr. Deardoff were here, she would say one of the things that UNESCO was really committed to was ensuring that the manual can be downloaded in other languages. And it's not every language right now, but that could be part of the forward motion. And that everyone comes willingly. So this story circles is not something that you can require for class or is required to participate. Again, it's all about creating that space. That's so important. So there are specific prompts in story circles. There's 2 rounds, although you could have 3 if you had enough time. But 2 rounds are definitely the required part of it. And the first round is just getting acquainted. Those of us who have worked with youth, I really always ask please tell us your name and story behind it. The reason I like that is, I want our names to hear them can be the most beautiful sound that we've ever heard, because usually someone gave that name to us with love. Even if it's a name that we chose for ourselves in life at some point, it's still given to us in a way that means something special. So I really particularly like the story about name. But if it's a situation where maybe the name might not resonate so much, maybe you could definitely go with favorite food. The second round is more the intercultural competencies category. And this is why creating and really honoring that safe space really comes into play, because you want people to really open up. And if you use a question like, what is one of the most positive interactions you've had with a person different from you? Well, we already know that there's a lot of polarization out there, and we need to create a space where someone can open up, and regardless of what their feelings might be about a specific situation or immigrants or refugees, we are wanting them to talk about positive experiences. And I've really found that this works very well. Sometimes when I've been in story circles, I'm always surprised when I get to the end to learn how different someone else is from me. But yet in the story circles, I learned like how common of a thread we have. And I just talk about game changer. Like it just it warmed my heart to know I could connect with somebody that I think in another aspect of my life, I wouldn't be able to find that connection. And the manual has a lot of extras. So one aspect that's really great about the manual is it tells you how to do a lot of things. It's 116 pages, which might sound like a lot, but it's well organized and structured in a way that you can adapt things. It has detailed instructions, so you will have no worries on what you do as a facilitator. There's a whole frequently asked questions section. There's protocols for how you might want to work with youth. So if you are doing this for a youth program, you might want to think of different ways about how you can create that safe and vulnerable environment for them. There's always ground rules. A lot of us have worked in spaces where there's a community agreement or a community charter. These are things that we all agree to, such as respect, to say things that are kind, to hold space for another person, to engage in active listening. There's criteria and guidelines for facilitators. Even though I have done story circles, I always look at the guidelines first because I just want to refresh my mind. And it comforts me knowing that they're there and I could access them to always understand what I'm supposed to do. There's handouts. There's handouts available that you could easily just print and use. You don't even have to create anything. There's also a questionnaire that you can use that's already developed that you can give to participants, and it helps them sort of reflect privately on the experience while also answering some questions to how they feel about the experience. Because in intercultural communication, feelings can be very valid. We talk a lot about meeting people where they're at in life. And so I feel like Story Circles definitely does that. So before we go to this last question, I want to just open up. Is there any questions about Story Circles? I'm not an expert, but I have read that manual quite a few times. I always feel whenever I talk about Story Circles, I want to honor Darla, Dr. Dearda, for all the amazing work she has done. And so I feel like when I'm talking, I imagine like if she was in the audience, what would she say? Would she be like, Dawn, you're doing great? So, Andy or Frauke, any questions you might have about Story Circles? Would you be interested in ever attending a training, or learning more about how to do it in your community? Or would you be interested in ever partnering and doing a virtual Story Circles? Because I'm always interested in offering this as an opportunity for people to engage. I'll let you digest that for a second.
And it's what is good about Story Circles is another thing. It can be applicable to any context, right? So that is why you can take it in, if you're an educator, you can take it to your school. If you're in a workplace, you can take it to your workplace, office space, and anywhere you can take and implement it. And yeah, it's really amazing how I remember the first time I joined the Story Circles training, I was like, you time yourself to listen to the other person without giving any reaction, without calculating what you're going to say. Mm-hmm. That was I said, wow, this is a really good training. Like we should maybe at least a few times do that to practice. Then I started practicing it on my husband. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to interrupt him. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to listen to end, and I'm not going to think about what I'm going to say until he's done. And I was just like, so it's kind of like, it was kind of eye-opening for me too, because it's true. When we listen to people, we always think about something else at the back of our minds, not completely give all our attention to the other person. And it takes practice to, do this. So yeah, thank you, Dawn. It was a great overview of Story Circles. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. One of the tips in Story Circles to increase active listening among participants and to take the pressure off is you can use a talking stick, or you can use just some kind of something that you pass from person to person. So this is just the closest thing I have to me right now. It's this little chickadee. It's where my AirPods go. But whoever's holding the chickadee is the person that's talking. So that means it's the cue to everyone else that you are only listening. And that person like has a certain, say it's 3 minutes, they're given 3 minutes to talk as for their whole 3 minutes. And then when they're done, when their time is done, they pass the chickadee to the next person, or the thing to the next person. This works really well with children, because they know whoever's holding the item is the person that gets to talk. And so I feel it really, I have like just went to the thrift store and got like funny little stuffed animals sometimes, like a stuffy, that like, I don't know, maybe it's like a flamingo or whatever, and then whoever has the flamingo is the person talking. It kind of like lightens the mood too, because it doesn't feel as serious, but also engaged. So tip, if you're like wondering how some of these things we do. Frauke, Andy, any comments or any questions about Story Circles? Any curiosities?
Perfect. And don't worry, this is the last activities. I know it's been a long session, but actually we we have been talking about this as we were discussing the story circles and like the first breakout room question, but I'm just wondering if there are any intercultural competence skills that we mentioned before that you're currently working on. So as I mentioned before, I'm still working on my active listening skill because first of all, I realized I was really terrible at that. But then I realize I'm getting better at it, but still I'm not there yet. So it's something I'm currently working on. But or for example, as I'll mention, empathy. Empathy is something that we can probably learn forever. There are different types, etc. But do you have any intercultural competence skills that you say, okay, I think I need to work on it a little bit more? And what are they? Like, we really want to hear from you.
So one thing that I struggle with, so I still do some work for Soliya, and one of the things that Soliya is quite big into is summarizing what people are saying as a part of intercultural dialogue, and I don't know why, but I find it really hard to I don't I don't quite know what it is. I can't retain the information that they're telling me like enough to then summarize it, and it um and then it's quite strange because when I'm now doing my creative writing sessions and people read to me what they've written, I've noticed that actually that I'm better than I expected at listening and giving them feedback on what they've written. So I can do that somehow. But then when I'm in the Soliya space and say 4, 5, 6 people have shared something, their thoughts, I don't know why I just cannot retain the information, and but it's weird because like I've I'm going on that journey with them, so I'm like empathizing and I am listening, but I don't know, my head, I don't know what it is about my brain, but I just cannot. I don't know. I just can't do that, it's one of like the tick boxes things that Soliya kind of like mark you on, sort of thing. Um, but I mean, fortunately, I'm good enough at the other stuff that I've kind of like got through and haven't been sacked yet. But yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what, um, and for me, it doesn't like. I don't feel like it's that detrimental to my intercultural competence, but I do recognise that Soliya see it very much as part of the skill set that you need to have and to reflect. But it's strange again because like if I'm having a conversation with people normally, I could reflect back like my understanding of what they've said. But I don't. Yeah. So anyway, so sorry. I don't know. Don't know why, but that is an area that I definitely do need to work on.
Andy, may I respond to what you said? Would you be open to hearing
Oh,
my
I'd love to.
response?
Yes, absolutely.
So I also have the same challenge. I feel that I'm very good at like just summarizing what I hear someone verbally say, rather than typing. I've learned for myself that I've always had a little bit of trouble with like my typing skills and like the spelling of words, and like thank goodness Grammarly was presented into the world. Whoever created that, I really like that person because I have always struggled in this area. But my verbal skills, oh, I could hear you. And as a child, it was just only very recently that I learned this about myself about listening, because my husband was speaking to me and he was saying, "Oh, you can keep doing what you're doing." He goes, "And just talk to me." And I stopped and I said to him, I was like, "I can't do that. It feels rude for me to do something while you are talking." Like my brain says, give this person your respect and listen to them. So if I'm doing something else like summarizing and typing, like my brain thinks like I'm being rude. And like that was just a recent revelation. So I'm just sharing that with you in the fact that it took me like having like this wow moment to finally give me clarity as to why I've struggled all these years with it. And
Yeah.
I'm like in my 50s and this finally happened. But for a long time, I always wondered, like, why can't I just type like 3 sentences to say what someone's saying? And I couldn't do it. So I guess what I'm also saying is maybe that moment will come to you when you finally go, oh, now I know why, you know. So you're not, I guess I'm also speaking to your, it might be Soliya's standard, but I would say in the standards of holding space for others, I've seen you in action, and I think that you do a very excellent job in doing that. So I'm
Thank
with
you.
you. I can't type and listen at the same time.
Thank you. Could I just jump in and just say one thing that I have learned, that if you'd asked me this a year ago, was about being comfortable with silence in a virtual exchange setting, because that's something I have learned, and I have now come out the other end of that in a good learning way, because I think previously I as soon as you put something out there to a group, and then there's people take some time to respond, I get so awkward. I feel very awkward about that silence, and so I too quickly then jump in. And some people lots of people have given me different advice on that, which has been helpful. Like, just count really slowly to 10, and also people have said that for if it's in English, and for those of us who are native English speakers, we don't have to do the translation time. Whereas for a lot of people whose English isn't their first language, and maybe they're not even that as confident in English as we might expect them to be, or assume that they are from how well their spoken English is, they actually have to do the translation or thinking time. It takes them a bit longer as well. And actually, I have in the last 12 months, I've no longer feel awkward about that. And actually, just a tip on that, so this is me going off on a tangent now, but I just kind of like do something like make some notes or something, because it distracts myself from the silence. But anyway, so I'm going to leave that there. Frauke.
And I think that is a very important point, because respecting silences also changes from culture to culture. And I personally experienced that for myself as well, because I came to the United States as an immigrant years ago, and I'm originally from Turkey, and in Turkish culture, feeling the silence is kind of like a respect, because silence is uncomfortable for many people. So when people are not speaking, you say something to just make them more comfortable. Versus, in other cultures, in some cultures, we should respect silence, and silence is good, silence is okay, that type of for people, for example, suppose that you're communicating from people from different cultures in the same context, and some people think that they should fill the silence and others should stay silent. So it's kind of, that's why all the skills we mentioned, adaptability, flexibility, and when someone maybe fills in the silence, like maybe we shouldn't assume that that person's intention was good, right? So these are the things that skills that we should be working on, we all should be working on, right? Rather than assuming, oh, why did she do that, doesn't she know this, so yeah, thank you for bringing that up, that silence issue, because this was also my personal experiences years ago, you know, different cultures.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. And I see we have 2 minutes, but Frauke, do you want to say anything before we end the session?
Okay, I just had a few points. And the silence point is very interesting. I mean, I was the exchange student to Finland, and there I think you have like a communicative silence. If you don't have to, someone says something and you disagree, you don't say nothing. But it's a comfortable feeling. but for the skills, I mean, I think there are always like a lot of things where I see, okay, I could improve. And one big challenge for me is, for example, if I do a training or workshop, and I'm also in the topic of more and more about ego development, or you can say this subject-object relation. I don't know, Robert Keegan or Jane Levenger and so on. And how to how to I don't know if it's catch up the right expression, but you have people who are able to have a different level on intercultural competence and to be able to stand multiplexity. If it's not only the one truth, if you can accept there's more. I mean, that's not in my point of view, this is really a skill or level that it's quite high when you already reach this. And have like to find like with one person, it might be even like doing culture awareness trainings, maybe starting with do's and don'ts. Also, if I say personally, please not because of the stereotypes, but maybe for this one person, it's the next step. And so, or if you have a group or a team, like orchestra, the different levels, and given every person with how they are, I mean, it's already a state, and how they are in this moment, the right space for if it's a training for the next step. And this is like my personal challenge too, or what I'm working on for myself.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you all. And any final notes, Don, do you want to mention before we close the session?
I'm just so grateful for everyone sharing today. I mean, this was sometimes the smallest number of people, as to quote someone said, a good conversation always happens when, if it's imagine a big pizza and there's only so many slices in the pizza. And once if you have enough people that equal the slices, that's going to be a good conversation. When there's so many people and there's not enough slices of pizza, it's a different conversation. So to me, this felt like it was a perfect sized pizza. We all had a slice and it was great.
Thank you. And thank you also for sharing our LinkedIn accounts, because we really would love to stay in touch with you. And if you're watching the recording, please feel free to reach out. We would like to continue this conversation in somewhere else.